Everybody asks me, say, why do you do it? And I say, if I can save one life, it's been worth it.
I love Driver Reviver because of the human interaction, and we get to save lives.
Small communities really rely on so many volunteers with so many different things.
Just a fantastic thing to do with a bit of spare time.
You just love it. You just love doing it.
Driver Reviver, Australia's longest-running community road safety charity, has been powered by volunteers to save lives. In 1989, Alan and Rhonda McCormack, along with a business partner, Gordon McNamara, started looking for a community program that they could get behind. They founded an initiative called Driver Reviver, based upon Operation Coffee Break. The program was built on a commitment to road safety and the belief that all injuries are preventable and everyone has the right to get home safely.
At the time, we're talking about the early 1990s, there was a lot of awareness coming through road safety agencies in all the governments that fatigue was a much more serious problem than people had thought. Once you got out of metropolitan areas, 30% of fatalities were caused by driver fatigue, and a lot of road safety authorities thought that it was much higher than that the further or the more remote you got, and the longer the distances and the faster the speeds. So that's why we were able to get a lot of cut through with government agencies and volunteer groups, because it was backed up by evidence that it was a real problem and people were dying and we had to do something about it. And one death doesn't just affect one person, it affects whole families forever. And so that was why we were able to, garner so much support. And our basic philosophy then, or Rhonda's and mine at the time, was that road safety is everybody's business.
Alan and I have always worked well together when he does as he's told.
Which is all the time.
Of course.
And I do it very well.
Yeah, you do. But we've just sort of shared the duties, and if things have to be done and one's not able to do it, the other one can do it. And we just sort of pick up, if one was doing something, we would just do the other thing. And it just hasn't been a chore at all, has it?
Gee, I've learned something now, but we don't know any other way. I mean, having been married for 57 years, I don't think my memory goes back beyond that. So what we do is what we do, and we enjoy it.
Exactly.
You've got to develop trust in the people that you're dealing with, and they had to in us, because we were running Driver Reviver as an activity, not as an organisation. We were breaking new ground with trying to get a national program involving the three major groups, government, corporate and sponsors, and I don't think that had been done on that scale before. The first way we got it to spread was thanks to Nestle. We launched the program at New South Wales in Easter 1990, and the weekend we did it, we took out full-page ads in the Sunday papers in Brisbane and Melbourne saying, if you're travelling to New South Wales this Easter, call into one of our Driver Reviver stops and get a free tea or coffee and a Kit Kat. And that generated a bit of interest. And from then on, we did a lot of media releases. I used to go on television and radio and talk to people about it, and a lot of phone calls, emails around the country reminding people what was going on. We decided that we would focus on community engagement as our prime activity, because the governments are very good at road safety. So what we focused on was building a relationship between the sponsors and the government agencies and the volunteers. So everybody was pointing in the one direction and we all understood what each other's role was. And by building communities through Drive Reviver, we were able to show Drive Reviver volunteers that they had a much more important role than just serving people free tea and coffee on long weekends.
In 1989, Nestlé and Kit Kat were brought on as sponsors to the program. Kit Kats were given out to drivers and their families for the next 10 years, along with a Nescafe cuppa, coffee or tea. In the year 2000, Unilever and Sunshine Sugar were brought on board as sponsors. Bushell's Coffee, Bushell's Tea and the Arnott's Foundation began partnering with the iconic Driver Reviver program, providing free cups of coffee, tea and biscuits to weary drivers across the nation.
Nestlé were a fabulous first sponsor because they supplied everything and they supplied products which people recognised the brand. Bushell's Tea were a fabulous sponsor. They helped us and understood what we were trying to do. And so we actually built the program. We got our website up and running in a more interactive way. And so that's when we committed to community engagement. And that's when we had to build stronger networks with all the government agencies. When Unilever came in and Arnott's Biscuits came in, we went from providing maybe 700,000 serves a year to 1.4 million. We continued on with some temporary sponsorship, and Rhonda and I sponsored it ourselves for a year or two, and then we gradually got to the stage where we needed to really get some total corporate sponsorship that would allow the program to grow.
In 2001, Bushell's produced this national Driver Reviver commercial.
We there yet?
Gavin?
Holiday driving can be tiring. Driver fatigue is a major cause of accidents. To avoid it, you need to stop every 2 hours.
We there yet?
Yes, Gavin. We're there.
Stop, revive, survive at a Bushell's Driver Reviver site. Stretch your legs, grab a free cuppa, and give everyone a good break.
In 2006, Bushell's Tea and Unilever produced a CD for families to play in their car during road trips.
So don't forget to stop, revive, survive every 2 hours and have a wonderful holiday with Bushell's Tea.
What brand of tea is served at Driver Reviver sites? The answer is Bushell's Tea.
The CDs were distributed from Driver Reviver sites and encouraged families to engage in conversation during a road trip and to be entertained. Unilever withdrew its sponsorship in 2012 and Alan and Rhonda filled the gap by personally sponsoring the program. In 2016, Driver Reviver was formally established as a not-for-profit charity, 27 years after it was established. Toll came on board as a major partner from 2016 to 2021 and led the distribution of all the tea, coffee, biscuits and other supplies to every Driver Reviver site around Australia. Alan and Rhonda no longer needed to personally pack the trucks for delivery.
Pursued Toll as a major sponsor because they had been carrying our freight, which we'd been raising the funds to pay for 20 odd years. So Toll progressively came in as a sponsor over a period of a couple of years. With Toll coming in, being a big corporate and needing to restructure Driver Reviver from an activity to an entity which was a not-for-profit company, and we also made a registered charity of it, and that allowed us to do to attract more sponsors because we now had that entity, but something we never wanted to do because we didn't want to be seen to be owning it. Shell have stepped up and have started covering the packing costs and helping the new people with distribution, and that's been really necessary to keep the program going. So all the sponsors have played a significant role, and we're very grateful.
In 2017, Rob Hurst from Midnight Oil and Sean Sennett took it upon themselves to produce this jingle. Up until this point, the program was thriving on personal connections with corporate sponsorship and the goodwill of all the volunteers around Australia passionate for the cause. But in 2019, it saw federal government recognition and received a one-off government grant. This meant the program was able to secure more awareness and support through a range of initiatives.
So Drive Reviver went almost overnight from us running it as volunteers, as just an activity, to having a presence and being a registered charity and attracting new sponsorship.
Rob Hurst and Sean Sennett were at it again, this time partnering with RoadSafe with a new video clip and song encouraging weary drivers to stop, revive and survive.
It's big bass land, make no mistake. That's rich of the room, and I need to aim you.
Driver Reviver is continuing to make advancements and head into a digital space, developing a website, displaying on social media, and a custom-built app. This allows travellers to locate where Driver Reviver sites are and their opening hours. Each site operates on a volunteer basis and are not all open daily, but focus on holidays and peak traffic periods. Amy came on board as a community partner in 2021 to further promote the road safety message. Shell also became a sponsor that same year.
Drive Reviver volunteers demonstrate that throughout the country there are people with a benevolent attitude that just want to do things to help others, and they recognise that what they do can have an impact, not just on one or two people, but when they do it in an organisation like Drive Reviver has become, they can make a huge difference right across the country.
A new board of directors was established in 2022 to oversee the administration and operation of the Driver Reviver program as a transition from the McCormacks retiring. The national operations for Driver Reviver transitioned to Victoria State Emergency Service, or Vic SES, along with assignment of the Driver Reviver trademarks. In 2022, Alan and Rhonda retired from Driver Reviver, but still remain passionate about the goodwill of the program and the valuable work that thousands of volunteers contribute. 2024, FedEx came on board as the national distribution partner. In its long history, volunteers from a range of community groups, organisations and councils have served more than 23 million cups of tea and coffee, boiled more than 5 million litres of water, and provided drivers and their families with more than 28 million snacks. Government agencies in each state support the philosophy and intent of the Driver Reviver program.
What they're also doing is demonstrating that people within the community can make a difference. We want other people who are doing the driving now, to understand that they need to be part of that change. And so we're setting an example through Drive Reviver, but we need the public to come along with us.
Thank you to Alan, Rhonda, and the thousands of volunteers and community partners who have supported the Driver Reviver program over many years. Driver Reviver looks forward to all Australians enjoying safe breaks on their road trips for many years to come.